Hi, welcome to Road to Global IGL. This video is going to be about practice and how to organize and run a successful team practice. When you have team practice, it's the only time that you have 5 people together, and this time should be specifically used for things that you require 5 people for. The main things that you should focus on doing are scrims, dry runs, and talking about strats/brainstorming as a team. Time outside of team prac should be used for focusing on things that you don't need 5 people for. So that can be practicing nades, watching demos of yourself or other people playing your spots to improve personally, watching demos of the other team to gain information about them if you're playing a team coming up, and anti-strat, and aim training, trying out nades or ideas on a map, etc, etc. I found success structuring practice in the following way. You're going to start by talking about ideas, what's working, what you need to fix, and what you can do to fix it with the team. After that, you practice and implement those ideas in the server, and then you try them out in scrims. Finishing practice with at least one scrim will allow you to work on your map in a controlled environment, and this will work towards either incorporating these ideas into your playstyle, or will help you work out if the ideas don't really work in practice. I try to implement one thing at a time and then build upon it. This will make your game more solid and fundamentally sound, and it will also prevent you from making too many large steps that maybe you incorporate 3 things and one doesn't work, but you think that everything isn't going to work because you've kind of lumped them all in together. Now, I learnt upon this a little bit earlier in the video, but when you're playing your scrims, you really want to be playing to improve rather than playing to win. So you're just focusing on drilling the stuff that you're setting out to drill as much as possible and trying to maximize that. Obviously, you can't do it every round or all the time, but trying to do it as much as reasonably possible is the best way of getting the most out of your scrims. Now, one thing for UniCS is that it's not like an ESEA team where everyone has a lot of time that they want to commit to practice. So it's likely that you only have 1 session a week, which may be limited so much that you might not even get a scrim every week. And because of that, you need to really try and be efficient with your time, because if you just don't, then you'll find out that you've done, half of what one thing that you wanted to do over the course of an hour, and really it's just not enough to justify doing the practice. That means that you're going to have to come in with your own plans and own ideas, and you're going to have to put in effort outside of the server beforehand. And I mean, that's just part and parcel of the job, to be honest. Like, if you want to improve, then you put in the effort, and everyone else is putting in the effort, but generally some people more than others, but it's really your personal motivation. You're making of it what you will. Now, if you're putting in the time and effort to research and theorize information that you think will help improve your team, you're going to need to then think about how the best way to get that across to your players is. I found that if you present players with too much information and dump a lot of crazy details on them, they're not going to pick up on the main points that you want to get across to them. You really need to think about how much information you want to give them and what the main points of what you're trying to get across are. Now, this can be different for different players. So something that I like to do is, if a specific player plays a specific half of the map, they really only need to know a bare minimum of how the other side of the map works. Now, it would be great if they knew everything, but it's not realistic and it's not entirely necessary. You also need to think about how much theory you want to give to them compared to the application. So if your theory is about how all the players need to move around the map, which is kind of how your brain needs to work for organizing the whole team, they don't necessarily need to know everything. They just need to know how their rotations work and how their rotations work in tandem with everyone else, and the theory related to that, so that they can make decisions that are good theoretically based on your vision. But just think about how much people need to know of that, and try to, when you do decide they need to know some stuff, try to present it in a digestible format with examples and reasoning that will persuade them and help them understand where you're coming from and where you're going. Now, in conclusion, you want your practice to be productive and efficient, and you can do this by planning ahead and creating a good structure for your practice. This structure can be, as I outlined before, starting with a brainstorming and talking section, then implementing the ideas that you brainstormed, talked, or planned before, and then trying them out in scrims. You want to think about how you're communicating your ideas to your team and how much information you need to present them with, dependent on their role and what they're doing in the game. Finally, I'd just like to say that this is really something that you can take personal liberty and pride in. Everyone's going to have their own style of doing these things, but you really are going to get out what you put into it. And practice is one of the main places where you can show your commitment as an IGL, and it's also probably the main place that you can show how much work you put in, how much you can get out of the work you put in, because there's only so much you can do from calling in game, and it really helps your team respects you. It helps you trust yourself and your ideas because you're working it out all together, and I think it really improves the team mentality. And yeah, good luck for when you're trying it out.